increase as we go through the rest of this afternoon and especially through this evening, as that's when we could see our heaviest rain moving across East Tennessee. This is a live look at our downtown camera right now, and it looks like this all across our viewing area this afternoon. We're currently sitting at 45 degrees. Wind chill is 41, so it's another cool day, but I want to draw your attention to that dew point, 44. We are almost completely saturated this afternoon, so there's a lot of moisture for that rain to be working with across the area, and this is why we don't have severe weather, because our atmosphere is just way too stable compared to our neighbors that are happening down to the south. So you may see some reports floating around on social media about severe weather happening in the southeast. That is going to stay to our south through the rest of the day today and tonight. You might get a rumble of thunder overnight tonight, but we are not expecting any strong storms or severe weather in our area through the rest of the day today. The main threat is just with the rain because of the potential for the flooding. Temperatures across the area have started to warm up on the plateau. That is a warm front that's going to be lifting through the area. That's why we'll have the chance of maybe hearing some thunder later today. Jamestown and Crossville are up to 46 and 47 degrees right now. Meanwhile, as I mentioned in the valley, we're a little bit cooler, sitting at 45 degrees right now in the Knoxville area. Now, today is a weather impact alert day that lasts from now through tomorrow morning, due to the potential of flooding from that heavy rain that we have across the area. So what we need you to do at home is to stay alert, make sure you check back for updates, pay attention to changing weather conditions, and avoid those floodwaters. Don't drive in them. And if you live near a river, creek, or stream that typically rises when we have heavy rain, you're going to want to keep an eye on those water levels and be prepared to maybe move to higher ground if you need to. So again, that heavy rain could cause the flooding. If you're out driving, because this is going to be a problem for our evening commute this evening, slow down. Leave extra space between you and the car in front of you, and make sure you turn on your headlights. As we mentioned numerous times, but we can't say it enough, never drive through the floodwaters. It doesn't take much water to knock you as a human off your feet, and not too much more than that to send your car floating or to cause it to stall out. So we don't want you driving in the floodwaters, even if you've driven that road 1,000 times. You never know if the road base has been compromised by that water, and it's hard to see it through the water as well. So again, just don't drive in it. Just don't do it. We do have a flood watch in effect for all of the areas that you see shaded in green. This is until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. You can factor Cumberland and Fenchurch County into this as too, so we'll just say our entire viewing area is under this flood watch. The greatest threat for the flooding, though, is going to be for our southern areas, as that's where we're going to have the highest rainfall totals over the next 24 hours. The current radar shows a band of that heavier rain moving in from the west right now, where you see the yellows and the oranges. That's where we have the moderate to heavy showers that are going to be coming in. If I widen out the view, though, we are nowhere close to being done with this. Look at that plume of moisture. It extends all the way back to the southwest into parts of Arkansas and even northern Louisiana. So that plume of moisture is going to work its way all the way across our area as we go throughout the rest of this evening. And after sunset tonight, that's when the rain actually could be at its heaviest. Our model's kind of leaning in that direction, that after sunset tonight, we're going to have a band of very heavy rain coming through. In fact, like waves of that coming through. That's also when you could hear some of those rumbles of thunder across the area, and the winds may become a little bit on the breezy side. Here's the positive news. That rain will gradually taper off from west to east overnight tonight, maybe a few lingering sprinkles early tomorrow morning, but then most of the day on Thursday should be dry, and that will finally give us a chance to dry out a little bit after all of this heavy rain that we've had across the area. However, additional rainfall totals over the next 48 hours again are going to be heaviest in our southern areas, and those rainfall totals could be at up to around another inch or two across the area. I know my graphic just isn't loading, but there would be normally colors on this map that would indicate higher rainfall totals to the south, maybe another inch or two, and up to another inch for areas north of I-40. Now, as I mentioned, out on the roads today, there are going to be some problems, and that's where we find our reporter, Katie Inman. She's out there as the passenger, checking out the road conditions across our area. Katie, what are you seeing this afternoon?
Hi everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to WBIR 10 News Plus. It is Katie Inman here out on the roadways in West Knox County right now. We are on Kingston Pike, actually at a red light, but we are hanging out here because KPD actually highlighted Kingston Pike as an area that often floods in several different places. We are on our way right now to the Cedar Bluff area because in that area, not only does Cedar Bluff Road frequently flood, but also Ebenezer and North Peters. Now, those roads have been known to historically flood whenever we get heavy rainfall like this. In fact, back in February 2019 and 2020, those areas of Ebenezer and North Peters did see that impactful flooding. But we are out monitoring the roads this afternoon as the rain continues to fall across East Tennessee. We'll continue to keep you updated on the conditions. Right now, Kingston Pike, where we're at, definitely has some ponding and puddling on the roads, but nothing too serious from what we have seen so far. Also, be sure to keep an eye out on how the water is ponding and puddling on the interstate around Level Road. That is also a common area where it floods. But for now, we will go ahead and wrap things up here on the roads and send things back to our weather team.
Thank you so much, Katie, for being out there today. Stay safe, and we'll be checking back in with you in just a little bit. Our radar remains active, and more heavy rain is on the way as we go through the rest of this afternoon. We'll continue streaming. You can watch the radar and kind of take you through some of those graphics here coming up, and we'll be back here live with more updates coming up in just a little bit. Stay tuned.
Okay. Okay, she said they're going to take like a 15-minute break. Okay. Cool.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, February 12th. I believe earlier I said it was Thursday. Moving along a little quicker than we need to during the week. And today is a weather impact alert day. The reason we have this weather impact alert is because of the potential for periods of heavy rain that could lead to flooding across our area. And what do you need to do? Well, you need to stay alert to the changing conditions and avoid driving through the floodwaters. We cannot say it enough, and it happens every time. Someone drives through the floodwaters, the car gets stuck, and then we end up putting first responders in a dangerous position to have to go rescue you out of that water. So just don't drive through the floodwaters. We do have a flood watch in effect for basically our entire area. Technically, Cumberland and Fentress counties are not included in this. They are under the jurisdiction of a different National Weather Service office over in Nashville. But we'll go ahead and include them anyway because you could still see some localized flooding up in Cumberland and Fentress. But the highest chances of seeing the higher rainfall totals are going to be for areas along and south of I-40. We continue to have these bands of moderate to heavy rain moving through the area. You can see some of those yellows and oranges showing up on the plateau and in the Southern Valley. All of that is working its way up to the east northeast and will be arriving into the Knoxville metro area probably in about the next 15 to 30 minutes or so. And then we've got more where that's come from. Now, because we also had heavy rain yesterday, we had rain over the weekend, and then we've had rain last week. Those totals are starting to compound. This time of year during the winter season is when we also have a lot of runoff. Our vegetation is dormant right now, and the ground is pretty hard because it's still partially frozen. And so what that means is that what falls from the sky doesn't really soak into the ground very much. It does a lot more running off than it would during the summer season, and that's why our flood risk is higher now in the winter season than it is during the summer. So looking at our current river flood warnings, we have one for the Pigeon River in Cott County. These are the areas that were impacted by Hurricane Helene back in late September. And part of the reason they had the impacts was because it rained so hard in western North Carolina. All that water came down the river across the state line and down into Cott County through Hartford and eventually into Newport. The same areas from Hartford to Newport are once again under a river flood warning. The difference is this time we're only expecting minor flooding. For these areas, river flood level is at 8 feet. We're forecasting about 8.5 feet. And that river is expected to rise overnight tonight, cresting early tomorrow morning, and then the river level should go down. So this would be minor flooding, some fields, one local road might have some water, but this is by no means anything anywhere close to what these folks dealt with back in September. However, I will say that what happened back in September with Hurricane Helene changed that riverbed forever. It's a completely different river at this point, both with the depth, the width, the way the riverbanks are shaped. And so that means that what type of impacts we've seen from this type of flooding in the past may not be the same for what we're going to be seeing tonight. So if you do live in a flood prone area, have had flooding concerns in the past, and you live along that Pigeon River, you may want to keep an eye on those water levels this evening, as the impacts may be a little bit different from what we've seen with minor flooding events in the past. And we have more rain on the way. We've got this heavier band that's moving through now. Looks like we might get a little bit of a break in a couple of hours, and then more heavy rain is expected to move in as we go through the latter parts of this evening. So flooding will continue to be a growing concern, and our biggest concern is going to be out on the roadways. That is where we've been starting to receive reports from around the area of those water levels starting to rise, some standing water in low-lying and poor drainage areas. We have reporter Katie Inman out on the roads this afternoon, kind of checking in on those typical trouble spots to let us know how the traffic is going to be affecting folks as we go throughout the rest of this evening. I'd like to send it out to Katie now to see how those roads are shaping up this afternoon.
Wants to take us out to eat fancy dinners.
Oh. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for watching WBIR 10 News Plus. This is Katie Inman behind the camera. Today in the passenger seat, we are out driving on roads in West Knox County, and I have our William Winnett in the driver's seat. So no worries, we are safe and checking out these roads for you as the rain continues to come down. And right now we are on North Shore. So This is an area in West Knox County that is prone to flooding. We have been checking out the status of it this afternoon because, as you know, years ago, back in 2019, 2020, areas of this road did have major flooding because of the water that can be found on either side of this road in certain parts. That was also when places like Hunter Valley and also subdivisions in this area saw some major flooding as well. Right now, the road is just very wet. We are seeing some puddling and ponding in some areas, and some times whenever we're driving too, we of course are seeing that water go up underneath the tires and sort of splash on the side of the road there, but nothing too crazy that we have seen so far either. We have also driven on Kingston Pike in West Knoxville because that is another area prone to flooding. On Ebenezer Road, which we drove on just a little bit ago, there's really nothing intense to report there yet, and that is the same story for much of Knox County. Now, we will continue to check out these roads throughout the afternoon, and as rain continues to come down, of course, that rain will wash onto the roads, especially in those major creeks. Those are First, Second, and Third Creeks. Loves Creek, Whites Creek, Sinking Creek. Those are some of the major ones where roads near those creeks tend to see flooding. Now, KPD actually highlighted Kingston Pike as a place that often floods in West Knoxville, and there are some lower lying portions of the roads here too that have been prone to flooding in years past as well. Those February 2019 and February 2020 heavy rains, of course, produced flooding in those areas as well. But as you were out and about on the roads today, maybe coming back from work, making that afternoon commute, also be aware that I-40 has some flooding trouble spots as well, primarily I-40 West near Lovell Road. That area has also been known to flood in the past. TDOT has actually had to pump water out of that area before, but we are not hearing reports or seeing reports of that happening quite yet either. We will continue to keep you updated as we scout out different areas across West Knox County and roads that could have some flooding on them as we continue to see this rainfall.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, that's fine. Are we okay with waiting that long? Because Annie had wanted like every 15 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, great.
I mean, I'm okay with waiting until 3:30 because there's not a lot of like active stuff happening.
Thank you.
So if you're okay with the graphics spinning for that long though.
Professional word vomiter. That is
320?
I don't know.
Okay, 320. Sounds good. Thanks.
Nailed those parentheticals.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you. It's funny because whenever I'll be out at live shots and stuff at 4, people will be like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, "What? Talk?" Oh. 320.
320?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay.
Can I shut the camera down?
Sure.
And good afternoon to you folks. Hope you're having a good, safe Wednesday. We do have rain continue to fall, and we're bringing you these continuous updates. You can see on the live stream our continuous radar loop, and you see the moisture streaming in. I want to give you a quick update. Katie Inman also standing by. We'll get to her in just a moment. And checking out the roadways, we do have some reports of flooding. And again, it's been kind of that slow and steady process so far. We do have a weather impact alert that will be continuing tonight. It's going to run through early Thursday morning through about 7 a.m. And so a weather impact alert, the main impacts will be heavy rain that could lead to more areas of flooding, and also the potential for high mountain winds. Wind advisory for the mountains tonight. Some gusty winds will increase, some higher mountain winds, but especially those soaking rains that are going to still be with us. We're going to see a little bit of a lull coming up late this afternoon, early evening, but more heavier rain expected later on tonight. We'll take a closer look at that in a moment. So what do you need to do? Continue to drive carefully, avoid flooded roadways, turn around, don't drown, avoid getting in floodwaters because your car can stall out, and that's an issue, right? Keep the umbrella and rain gear handy. So again, the 10 weather impact alert continues tonight. Heavy rain could cause localized flooding. Slow down certainly, and again, never drive through those flooded roadways. We have that flood watch that continues tonight through 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. The highest risk for flooding is generally across southeast Tennessee into the mountains and foothills, but overall we still have that possibility and that marginal risk for flooding pretty much area-wide. So let's get right to radar. Here's what we're seeing. Again, moisture continues to stream in from southwest to northeast, from Alabama right up across East Tennessee. Now, let me show you what we're seeing right here. I'll stop the radar. Seeing a little bit of a lull from Nashville to Chattanooga right in this area, right in here. And so that's a little bit of a lull coming our way late this afternoon. But if we look back to what we're seeing across parts of northern Alabama, Mississippi, back into West Tennessee, that's new development. And I will kind of widen back out. You can see around Tupelo. So this is the next round of convection and heavier showers that will continue to track back in our direction as we get later on this evening. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So let's kind of come back and forward and see what we're seeing right now. Again, the pockets of moderate and heavier rain right in that elevated risk area. Tellico Plains, Citico Beach, Tallahassee, into the mountains of North Carolina. That's going to continue to push up into the Smokies with that moderate rainfall continue to stream off to the east, northeast. Here's the replay from the past 2 hours. Again, those steady light to moderate rains. Again, the ground is now saturated, and we have seen places like Beaver Creek and Powell starting to flood, which again, in rising, I should say, the creek level's rising, but starting to enter into that flood stage as the ground continues to become saturated. So here's what we're looking at going forward tonight. The steady rain showers again this afternoon, slight break early evening, but by 8 to 9 p.m., there's that heavier round starting to move in. And from 9 p.m. to midnight, again, we're still looking at more of this wave of moderate to heavy rainfall, even into the early morning hours. So if we see these heavier rates of rain, that's going to certainly elevate the flooding concerns and cause the potential flooding issue to become a little bit higher and a greater risk for flooding as we go later on tonight. Even into the overnight hours, we get those heavier rates of rain. That could be something we're going to have to continue to watch. So that's the very latest as far as the radar. Again, you can keep it right here. We're going to keep that live stream going, of course, with the latest radar loop. The amounts of rain we can additionally see is some 1 to 3 inches. And again, flooding will be possible overnight into the early morning hours. Then we're going to dry out for Thursday and Friday. I will tell you, we will have a weather impact alert back in place for Saturday afternoon through Sunday morning. More heavy rain, high winds in the mountains, and also colder air to follow. That's coming up later on this weekend. We'll have much more on that starting at 4 on 10 About Town. Again, keep it right here for the latest. Right now, we want to go ahead and get a check of those roadways with Katie Inman. Katie's been driving around and checking out road conditions throughout East Tennessee this afternoon and starting at 2 o'clock. And again, we're starting to see some problem areas, and you certainly just want to use caution on the roads, if nothing else, just for ponding and slow down, keep the headlights on while driving, and a reminder again to avoid those floodwaters. So with that, let me go ahead and send it out now to Katie Inman for the latest on how the roads are looking in East Tennessee. Hey, Katie.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching WBIR 10 News Plus. This is Katie Inman here behind the camera as we are giving you a live view out at different roads across Knox County. Right now, we are on Cedar Bluff Road. We are here because this is an area of Knox County that is prone to flooding. If you will remember a few years ago, an area that we were about to come up on here near a Cedar Bluff Middle School and then also a shopping mall, a strip mall I should say, flooded. And so we're over here to check out to see if there is any major impacts or concerns going on right now as we are seeing this rain fall. William Winnett is in the driver's seat of the car this afternoon. I am in the passenger seat, all safe, but we have been driving around different parts of West Knox County. Primarily, this area is more prone to flooding. KPD has noted that Kingston Pike is an area that often floods in West Knoxville. Cedar Bluff Road is one of those major roads off of Kingston Pike that floods. You can see the road right now very wet, and we are seeing some pooling and puddling of water in some areas. Nothing too major right now though. We can tell that in areas where there's more water on the side of the road, you know, maybe those like overfilling ponds on the side here and some from rivers, it is going more across the road, but again, nothing too impactful right now on Cedar Bluff Road. And also this afternoon, we have been on Kingston Pike, we've been on North Shore and Ebenezer. Those roads, pretty much the same story as what we're seeing here on Cedar Bluff, where it is definitely wet and there are definitely some areas on the sides of the road primarily where we're seeing that pooling and puddling of the water. But there are times where you may be splashing the side of the road as you drive through that water, but you can also be aware on your commute home from school or work this afternoon that there are some areas on I-40 that are prone to flooding as well. Paper Mill at Wise Garber, and then also I-40 West near Lovell Road. That area is also prone to flooding. Not that long ago, whenever we saw a major rain event, the TDOT actually had to bring in some pumps to get some water out of that area around Lovell Road. Now, again, we are right here at that same area where this did experience flooding years ago. Water went into the strip mall over to the side. But right now, nothing too crazy. We will continue to keep you updated as the rain continues to fall this afternoon and as that water continues to rise. But remember, be safe. If you come across areas where you don't know how deep the water may be on the road, it's best to just turn around. Don't drown, because these flooding situations, they can happen in a blink, faster than you know it. But this is our view from the roads here in West Knox County. We will continue to keep you updated here on WBIR 10 News Plus, our website, WBIR.com, and of course, on air on WBIR.
All right, thank you so much, Katie. And again, we're going to keep you updated throughout the afternoon. As I mentioned now, we'll get you back and you can see the live radar stream and the rainfall potential. We're scrolling that through. That will keep you up to date on what's happening right now on radar. The Futurecast, it will walk you through the timeline of what we're expecting and anticipating as we go later on tonight. And I go ahead and tell you, after a little bit of a lull coming up in a few hours, late afternoon, early evening, we're going to see some more heavier showers move in later this evening. So don't let your guard down. We could see more heavy rain later tonight and flooding, and so we'll keep you apprised of that potential for heavy rain and flooding later tonight. As I mentioned, also those gusty winds increasing in the mountains. Again, the very latest coming up on Channel 10 WBIR and streaming right here on our app as well at 4 o'clock, 10 About Town, and of course 5 and 6, and then we'll have the very latest also coming up later tonight at 10 on Fox 43 and 11 o'clock on Channel 10 and the Night Beat. So that's what we're looking at coming up as far as going forward. Again, keep it right here for the latest live stream. By the way, you want to go ahead and plan on keeping it here for whenever we have breaking weather coverage, news coverage, sports, etc. This live stream, an excellent resource to stay up to date. We'll be using that much more frequently now going forward, and so share that with your family and friends so they can keep up to date as well. Thank you for joining us. Again, keep it right here, and we'll see you over on Channel 10 coming up at 4 o'clock for 10 About Town and the latest weather information.